catching the bus. Morning. This is no ordinary bus. Kind of works as a metaphor for the general election. It runs on crack, poetically put.
Pretty much, yeah.
If Britain is now full of impatience at politics as usual, and there's a rising sense of new, independent ways of thinking, where this poo-powered bus is going is right on the cutting edge.
Historically, Bristol was known as the place where people were not having it.
On a single morning in Bristol, we find the city alive with activism. People recycling food waste into free dinners.
This is what we got so far from like a couple places.
Okay. And this is food that would otherwise be thrown away?
Yeah.
And protesters camped at the top of trees to save land from a new bus route. Struggling through the woods here.
Our land is just disappearing. We're digging the graves of our grandchildren.
Self-resilience is a really important part of what we are trying to connect with.
I live quite near Bristol, and I like it here a lot.
It's no coincidence that the Green Party think they're in with a shout of winning here in the constituency of Bristol West.
All of the things that I believe in, they seem to stand for.
It's probably easy enough for the Greens to get votes among certain kinds of people. Students, bohemians, Guardian readers, people like me. But if they're really going to establish a foundation in Bristol, they're going to have to speak to parts of the city where politics, any politics, doesn't really make much of an impact. Because if they don't, they're in danger of not so much being a political movement as a middle-class sect.
Which is why we've come to the outer edge of the constituency in the neighbourhood of Lawrence Hill.
Going to vote in the election? You're not going to vote at all? Have you registered to vote? So, Lawrence Hill, yeah, a bit of a different location.
This is not natural green territory we're in now, is it?
This is not natural green territory, no.
There's no Whole Food shops?
There's no Whole Food.
Have you seen anyone with a CND badge on?
No, it is definitely not. Excuse me, sir.
Jude is the refreshingly unspun Green candidate for the City Council here.
Hello.
In the poorest ward in the southwest.
Hello, young people.
Well away from her party's usual comfort zone, she's been energetically trying to build support.
Green Party? Eh? No?
I don't know. I'm still thinking who am I going to vote for.
It's like a little election meeting in a bus stop in Bristol.
Shouldn't be being sold off for people to make a profit.
No way. Because in Jamaica they sell everything. Only thing leave for them to don't sell is the people them in Jamaica. The government don't pick up and sell.
People say don't vote Green because they won't get in, but they could here. Darren Hall, he could be your MP.
This is quite a working class area with a lot of black and minority ethnic voters, neither of whom thus far the Green Party has done very well with. Right? That's true, isn't it? So this is your biggest challenge, what we're in the middle of here.
I'd say two things. We've done a huge amount of work on things like housing.
What other issues do you speak to
We're
people in
very
areas
clear
like this?
about treating people fairly around migration and asylum seekers. You know, we haven't pandered to any of that fearful territory of the right.
But you've got to get at least 10 times more votes than you got last time to win here, roughly. It's in that region, isn't it?
Yeah, but it's 3 times the amount of local votes that we've had in between.
I'm missing out the stepping stone in other words,
exactly.
right? It's not as bad as it looks.
No.
I'd been a political activist but never actually joined a party. I joined when Caroline became leader.
Those are the days.
In the build-up to the election, the Greens, as you may have noticed, have had a bit of trouble with getting their message right. Here, Darren is putting in extra work on how to answer the tough question and avoid those pesky brain fades.
The Greens say they will scrap tuition fees. How will you pay for that?
This is about an investment in the UK, an investment in the future of our society.
Why should people spend their hard-earned money on taxes towards benefits?
It's a crazy system where employers can knowingly pay people less than the living wage because they know the state is going to pick up the rest of the bill.
What would the Green Party do to stop that situation getting worse with the citizens' income?
Right. Actually, we still need to develop that. The citizens' income is about enabling.
If you're being charitable, some of the Greens' recent problems might be down to the fact that until recently they were a small party adjusting to the spotlight. But obviously that's changing. Here in Bristol in the last year, they've gone up from 250 members to over 2,000.
So who's joined the Green Party in the last 6 months here? Okay, in the last year? Wow, even the candidate.
Yeah.
Jude has been campaigning a lot around a large council estate in the inner city neighbourhood of Redcliffe, where success for the Greens is more of a long game.
Local politics, the election, how can it help you? No? No? You're interested in politics? What do you mean, like? I'm from the Green Party. Have you heard of the Green Party?
Can I be the Prime Minister?
You can.
Well, how do I do that?
If you could have David Cameron here, what would you say to him?
Make weed illegal.
Make weed legal. Yeah. I have to say that is a Green Party policy. So, can I give you one of these? Are you going to vote?
I might do. I don't know. I'm not registered, but I might do.
Cool. If you're not registered to vote, can we say
Can I do it online?
Yeah, sure. 20th of April is the deadline. I said there's going to be an election. She said, "What's that?"
Really?
I have no idea.
How old are you?
21.
Right, so you can vote.
Vote for what though?
Vote for what?
General election, the government.
Oh.
My sort of lingering concern, not just about green politics, but sort of left radical politics, so to speak, of one kind or another, is that it draws all its sort of people power, the people who go knocking on doors and prepared to be councillors, from people who aren't doing that badly, right? And they try and then speak for people who aren't doing so well. But the most enduring way of doing that would be for some of these people to join the Green Party. Would be for the Green Party to be a presence here.
Yeah, well,
that's the Green Party person, and they live here.
That's the next stage, isn't it? This is the interesting thing that has happened in the last year. So this time last year, you would not find a single Green Party member in this area of Lawrence Hill. Now, I looked at the figures last week, there are 15 Green Party members. This is where the next elections will be won. So here, 10,500 voters in Lawrence Hill, of which 2,000 vote. Yeah? 8,500 people do not bother to get out of bed in this ward. If the Green Party can activate 2,500 of those votes in the next 5 years, we can certainly win the next election if we don't win this one.
The Green Party wants to give a voice to the voiceless. But when their leader appears on the TV, she tends to get lost in drab talk about fully costed pledges while trying, and often failing, to explain the sums. What about the politics of emotion and hope? How about sounding just as stirring and inspiring to the Greens' potential voters as Nigel Farage does to his?
Do you think there's a danger if you talk in terms of fully costed pledges and, you know, talking about policy in the same terms as the other parties do, you lose what excites people potentially about green politics, which is that it's actually about a world that lies way beyond the way the rest of the parties talk about their policies and fully costed this and that.
We need to keep the emotion, absolutely keep the emotion in it, because I know that when we're sat around as a party talking about the things that we're passionate about, it's an incredibly energetic, positive culture and conversation. And it's only when you start thinking that you've got to be this role model in politics that you start to, you know, sound like any of the other politicians.
We get suckered into trying to explain our quite radical visions and policy in the terms of existing parties, which is where we get tripped up. But that's different from we don't need to abandon evidence-based policy. We just need to learn how to explain it in a way that's meaningful to voters.
Yeah. Look, the Green Party aren't going to be in power in 2015. Our role over the next 10 years is to help people understand that we need to be in a completely different world.
I used to vote for Labour.
Yeah.
But nowadays it's not as
not as simple. No.
The smaller parties are getting bigger.
Yeah, getting chance.
Yeah, is that a good or a bad thing?
It's very good.
It's good
because the bigger parties they dominated the politics.
Yeah.
And it's not real democracy to see only the bigger parties
after my own heart.
to grip everything.
Do you vote as a rule?
Yeah.
And what do you think of these, the Green?
It seems a bit better.
And you voted Labour last time at the time of it, did you?
No, UKIP.
Okay.
So yeah, I've heard things about them, so...
What have you heard about them?
Oh, no, they're taking all the benefits away, they're doing this, they're doing that, and I think, oh well. I'm disabled, so I'm not able to work anyway.
But you might give them a go?
Yeah, I might. Yeah, they sound quite good. It's just a new way to vote, something else, hopefully give you hope to vote for.
Hope?
Yeah.
You need a bit of hope?
Yeah.
Vote local man. Sounds like a superhero. Goes into phone boxes and emerges as local man.